Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Fridays with Friends. I'm Alicia Herwood, Chief Operations Officer, Coast to Coast Legal Aid, and I'm very happy to have Jamie D'Alessandro, who's a supervising attorney of the Education Legal Rights Program project at Legal Aid Service of Broward County, to be here today. So thank you, Jamie.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I know that it's a busy time. Schools are starting back. Everyone's kind of adjusting. So this is a pretty timely topic. So if you could just tell me a little bit about an overview of the Education Legal Rights Project.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Right now is, like you said, extremely busy for our project with school starting and as well as being remote right now. Everyone's starting this new process, new procedures, learning about everything, not just the families and students, but obviously the schools, the staff, the teachers, everyone involved on that end. So we're all learning together. But like you said, I'm the supervisor of the Education Legal Rights Project at Legal Aid. There are 7 attorneys in that project, including myself, who assist students with academic or behavioral issues in the school setting. So that can include students who do not have an IEP yet. And when I say IEP, for those who do not know, it's an individual education plan in the school setting. So we help students who are having difficulties, but they don't have a plan of services yet. And we also help students with IEPs already who are still having difficulties in the school setting for some reason or another. So that's basically our clients. And as of right now, we actually have an increase in clients given all of these new processes that are occurring right now because of COVID-19.
Okay, and what do you do with them? You said that you work with them, with their IEP. What does that kind of involve? Does it involve communicating with the schools, with the parents, with the students?
Absolutely, all of that, all of what you just described. So we communicate with the parents, the students, as well as the teachers, sometimes administration at the school, given whatever the circumstances of that particular case are. We do, a lot of times we do communicate directly with the ESC specialist at the school because that's the person who handles the students with the IEPs. So we just want to make sure if the student does have an IEP that it's appropriate for them, that it's adequate, and it has the services that address their difficulties that they're occurring in school. So what's important now is that we continue to figure out what are the areas of weakness for this student and what do we need to either add or remove or modify in the IEP to address those weaknesses. What's difficult about that right now is that because the students have been outside of the physical classroom, it's very difficult to gather the data to make those determinations. So now that we're back in a sort of formal process where they have a full day, right, of some sort of instruction, we're telling our parents, we're telling them, make sure that you're requesting data from the school. So that way they have something to base any future services, adding those or deleting those. They have a basis there for doing whatever they need to do as far as that. Also, we're making sure to tell parents, get everything in writing, whatever's happening that you're seeing, because you're essentially now a teacher, right, for your child, and you can see what's going on while you're there. If you're supervising your child at home, you can kind of tell what difficulties are they having. Write those things down so that way when you do meet for your IEP meetings, you can explain that to the ESC specialist, to the teachers, and work as a group collaboratively to figure out the most appropriate services for the student.
Right, it's important to get that feedback because again, right now here in Broward, we're virtual
Right.
with it. So the teachers are going to have that change for them as well on seeing, what the students, the impact is on them. So that's good information, Jamie. Are there any specific rights, because it's the Education Legal Rights Project, is there any legal rights that parents or students or teachers, should keep in mind when it comes to this?
You definitely just remember that you do have the right to ask for an IEP meeting at any time. All of the IEP meetings are still occurring on Microsoft Teams. So we've been able to participate in annual IEP meetings, interim IEP meetings, any of those that have to occur that you would like to occur, we can continue to do those during this time. So I would just say, remember that you have the right to ask for an IEP meeting at all times.
Okay. And because you've mentioned COVID, we know kind of what the changes are and thinking about it. Are there other changes that are going on? I mean, it's good information to know they're virtual because maybe some people didn't know they could still request them. Are there any other COVID related changes that parents need to be aware of?
As far as with IEPs, they need to know that some of the services on there may not be able to be provided. And that's another thing that you need to absolutely keep track of. If you're going through the days with your child and they're sitting there and they're not receiving the services that are on an IEP. So for example, say your child is supposed to be receiving speech therapy maybe 2 times a week for a total of 30 minutes. And you've noticed that that's not occurring. And the school is telling you that it can't occur right now for whatever reason. You need to document that as the parent. You need to make sure that you're documenting what services are actually not in place. So that way, when you come back to the physical school setting and you figure out these things were not in place, how can we recoup? How can we figure out how to get the student back to the level that they would have been at if he or she was receiving these services? You have that in writing saying that these things did not occur and they need to be provided at this time.
Okay. And if someone needs to speak with you or has some questions concerning this, how would they reach the project?
So they can always call the office line. So it's 954-736-2405 for any questions or concerns, and we can figure out if we can actually take you as a client at that time.
Okay. Well, we really appreciate your time and all of your efforts. I mean, I've known you for years. I know what hard work goes into the project and how much that you help the community with what you do. So I just wanted to say thank you again. And for everyone who watched, be sure to follow us each week for Fridays with Friends here at noon on our Coast to Coast Legal Aid Facebook page. Thank you.